Here's check-on stories we're following for you today on Robert Hood Radio. Enjoy the warmth while we have it. Some sun, maybe a shower. Today, 60 to 65. The temperatures will drop off tonight. Tomorrow will be sunny, chilly, and windy, mid-40s. And then sunny on Sunday with a temperature of 40 to 45 degrees. The state of Connecticut vaccination program has fallen short of its objective of administering 25% of COVID-19 vaccine doses to people living in 50 high-risk postal codes in the first week of March. The governor and members of his pandemic response team acknowledged a shortcoming during a news briefing yesterday, while also predicting greater success in meeting its allocation goal going forward. State health officials identified 50 Connecticut zip codes that are in the top 25% of the Social Vulnerability Index that the Federal Center of Disease Control and Prevention uses to identify communities in most need of support in public health emergencies and other disasters. Lamont reported yesterday that residents of those priority zip codes received only 20% of first doses of COVID-19 vaccines that were administered in the first week of March. The rates varied among vaccine providers. Only federally qualified health centers hit the 25% benchmark. Hospitals achieved 22% of targeted allocations, while local health departments were at 20% and pharmacies at 14%. In Great Barrington, proposals to regulate cannabis business and disallow commercial growth in one area of town will go before the planning board this month. The board will hold a public hearing on those zoning changes via Zoom at 6 p.m. on March 25th before they go to voters at the annual town meeting in June. 3 of the proposed changes to the zoning bylaws were made in citizen petitions that were held over from the 2020 annual town meeting, which was cut short because of the coronavirus pandemic, requiring a new set of public hearings. Petitions include regulating the location and other physical details of cannabis businesses and allowing cannabis manufacturing in an area on North Main Street near the Cumberland Farms. A copy of the proposed amendments are posted on the town website, townofgb.org, and comments can be submitted in writing before 4 p.m. March 25th. Questions can also be emailed to crembold@townofgb.org or submitted via telephone at 413-528-1619. Brush fires blackened land in 3 Columbia County towns on Wednesday. Several area fire departments worked to put out the fires in Kinderhook, Austerlitz, and Copiague. Arriving fire officials requested that the Valatia Fire Department respond to the scene for mutual aid. That fire was reported at 2:31, while a much larger brush fire was reported in Columbia County 911 at about 1:33 in Austerlitz. Fire companies from Austerlitz, Chatham, and Ghent fought that fire for nearly 2 hours. Chatham Rescue Squad, State Department of Environmental Conservation Police, and State Police assisted firefighters there. That fire was declared out at 3:23, but then there was another fire in Copiague. That fire was located well off the main road, 300 Weed Mine Road. That was reported at 4:20. Copiague Fire Department requested Ankrum Fire Department to the scene with all available manpower and their brush fighting equipment. Community Rescue Squad, Columbia County Sheriff's Office, and Columbia County Fire Coordinator's Office assisted at the scene. Hillsdale Fire Company was placed on standby at the Copiague Fire Station. All firefighters were back in service by 6:50 in the evening. The CIAC has finally released its plan for spring sports in Connecticut, and it's looking like a relatively normal season. There'll be full schedules for all sports and a traditional state tournament. Practice can start March 27th, pitchers and catchers on March 20th. For most athletes, with the first regular season game set for April 10th, masks will not be required for any active participants with the exception of boys volleyball, which is played indoors. The decision by Millbrook High School to cancel its football season has been met with outrage from some of the athletes' parents, a few who allege that the district administrators are refusing transparency. Millbrook on Tuesday announced its team would not participate in the football season, which begins Friday in Section 9, citing an insufficient number of players on the rosters. In most instances, a team severely lacking depth will require its starters to play offense and defense and contribute to special teams. That, administrators said in a memo to the families, heightens the risk of injury, but at least some parents aren't buying that rationale. Millbrook has struggled in recent years with declining participation in its varsity roster, typically hovered around 20 players. That prompted a switch to 8-man football in 2019, joining the league of a dozen small school teams that face similar challenges. Under that format, the state requires a minimum of 12 active players to compete, as opposed to 16 for traditional 11-player football. Millbrook is planning on resuming football in the fall and seeks to merge teams with another district to bolster its roster. An idea to combine with players from Weebutuck was broached almost 2 years ago. Travelers to New York who remained within the domestic United States or within U.S. territories will no longer be required to quarantine for 10 days upon arrival in the state, beginning on April 1st. That announcement came on the heels of the state continuous declining COVID-19 infection rate, which dipped to 2.77% on Thursday, the lowest 7-day average since November 21st. Small Town Big Talk, portraits by Rebecca Bloomfield, interviews by Adam Shear, opens today online and in person at the D.M. Hunt Library. More information, huntlibrary.org. Art Wall. Cornwall Library and Sharon Audubon present Winter Birds in Our Backyards, Part 2. That happens tomorrow at 4 p.m. Sharon Audubon naturalist Bethany Schiffer will lead the discussion on how participants can create self-sustaining bird buffet in their feeder birds using native plants in their landscapes. To register on the web, cornwalllibrary.org. Stanford Grange 808 is holding its annual corned beef and cabbage dinner on Saturday at the Stanford Grange. All dinners are takeout only. A donation $15 per dinner. For reservations or more information, 845-868-7869. West Stockbridge Congregational Church on Main Street will serve out a takeout slow-cooked corned beef and cabbage dinner with Irish soda bread for $12 per person on St. Patrick's Day, but reservations must be made by March 14th. For more information or to make those reservations, 413-454-0054. Kent Art Association continues its 2021 shows with the Winter Featured Artist Show running Thursdays through Sundays from 1 till 5 until Sunday, March 14th. More information, kentart.org. And the Scoville Library Common Ground Conversations continues this Sunday from 4 until 5 p.m. More information at scovillelibrary.org. Our business brief is underwritten by Morgans at the Interlaken, interlakenin.com. You'll also find them on Facebook and Instagram, and Salisbury Bank, salisburybank.com. Dow Jones Industrial Average will start off today at 32,485.59, the NASDAQ at 13,398.67, and the S&P 500 at 39.34. We'll take a look at the tri-state forecast. That'll come your way in just a few moments.